What's up?
Hello there.
Tyler. Keith. Plugged on, here with an album review. This time we're going to talk about the new solo album from Dee Snider, titled For the Love of Metal.
Yeah.
Dee Snider, you probably know him as the singer of Twisted Sister from the 80s. Popular. Became popular in the 80s with some very huge hits even today. And so this album kind of spawned, if you listen to the Josta show, Jamie Josta, the singer of Hatebreed, just pitched this to Dee Snider and was like, hey, why don't you just do a fucking hard-ass metal album with your vocals, because I know you still got it, sort of thing. Kind of like what Rob Halford did when he went solo. Like, that album fucking rips, sort of thing. And that was kind of the pitch, and Dee was like, hey, if you write it, let's try it. So this album's produced by Jamie Josta, and I believe they got Nick Belmore and Charlie Belmore, Toxic Holocaust, to do guitars and drums. And then there's also some other guest appearances as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, kind of interesting how this came together, but what'd you think?
I actually really like this album. It's kind of, in a lot of ways, the perfect album, considering, the Dee Snider was Twisted Sister, which is a very over-the-top band, which is putting it very lightly. And this album is very over-the-top sometimes with a lot of its lyrics. It's, very corny. I mean, it's called For the Love of Metal, and there's the title track is up there. It's really corny. Like you said, with, the thing, it's just this hard-ass, kind of goofy at times but fun album, from just the opening track of Lies Are Businesses is a great opening track. I think the parts of the album that shine is there's a lot of great riffs. For the title track, For the Love of Metal, I just like the sort of chugginess of that riff, and it's got trots and whatnot in it. And then also riffs like Become the Storm, which is that was the song they released ahead of time, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Yeah, because I thought I recognized that when I was listening to it. And then just a lot of stuff like that. But then this album also has a lot of great choruses.
Yeah.
The choruses that stuck out to me were Tomorrow's No Concern, I'm Ready, which is another really just goofy song, but it just gets stuck. Become the Storm, The Hardest Way, which has Howard Jones on it, and then also Dead Hearts, Love Thy Enemy, which has Alyssa White Gluz on it as well. Those are some of the standout songs, and it's weird because no offense to Dee Snider, I just didn't know what to expect going into this album, so I didn't expect that much, and then this album just ended up becoming really, really good, which is a lot of just tight stuff. The album kind of busts in, and I was like, oh wow, this is it's actually heavier than I expected. When it busts in with Lies Are Business, I'm with the drums and whatnot, I'm like,
yeah. Oh,
this isn't just some kind of one-off thing. This is a serious thing. And not that I didn't think it was serious, but I'm like, oh, wow, I should, be focusing on this a bit more. And yeah, and I enjoyed the album a whole lot. It was a lot of fun. Side note, just because how I listened to this album mostly, good driving music. The whole album.
Yeah.
Great driving music.
I have listened to it a few times while driving, and it is fantastic. Especially Become the Storm. I think that's the best one of roll the fucking windows down and crank it up. Just because that's a very good jam. I think this album is decent for sure, and like you said, it's a lot of fun to listen to. But it's not perfect, and some of these songs are just so overly corny, especially lyrically, that it's hard to
roll over
really
you.
Really fucking sit there and go, yeah, that's the one to me. Roll Over You is. To me, it's by far the worst song on the album. And the only thing I like about it is the main riff to open it up, which is kind of neat. But the rest of it, I'm like, oh my fucking god! Especially when it gets to the middle and they're like, "We fucking despise you." I'm like,
why?
Fucking grown men wrote this shit. I'm like, what the fuck is this? What? It's crazy. I think the whole kind of that little middle section is just where it kind of goes down a little bit. American Made has a good hook to it, but it is so fucking corny.
Oh yeah.
So corny. That main riff, I'm like, holy balls. I mean, it's a riff that'll get you bobbing your head, but man, that whole thing's corny. I'm ready. I'm like, I don't give a fuck
the
about
chorus
this
is
song
just
yet.
a fuck. I just like his vocals in the chorus. I'm like, all right.
But it does, this album opens up and it is like, we're not fucking around.
No.
With Lies Are a Business and Tomorrow's No Concern, those songs have some good riffs to them, some good hooks, and it's like, yeah, this is, a heavy metal fucking album. It's got some fat guitars, it's got some speed to it at times, and Dee is here to rip your face off, sort of thing. And I think, for as old as he is, getting up there in age, he sounds amazing.
Awesome.
There's times where he doesn't, where like some of the way he pronounced or like kind of finished a line isn't the best. Like to me, "Become the Storm's" my favorite song on here, just because I love the chorus. I love that main riff. It's to me, it's the feel good song of 2018 to me. But right as they get into the second verse, when Dee Snider goes, "Wow!" That's a little unnecessary, or you could have done that a little bit differently and not sounded so weird. But hey, I also think that, like you said, there are some fucking choruses that jam on here. To me, maybe my favorite chorus is "Mask."
Mask is a good chorus.
Mask is really good. I love the riff that's underneath of it. And that those vocals are fantastic on it. But Dead Hearts Love Thy Enemy it's a ballad with Dee and Alyssa White Glues from Arch Enemy, and holy shit is that song strong. It's another very strong song.
Slight side note, there's another one of those instances where they did it once on their last album, but I'm like, you should do this more, Arch Enemy. I know. You should do this more. Take advantage of it. She
opens up the first minute or so of this song just by herself before Dee even comes into the song at all. And it is so breathtaking to listen to. She is a fantastic vocalist. But if Michael Lamont won't let Jeff Loomis play on their album, why the fuck is he going to let Alyssa sing a lot more on their album? It's just not going to happen. Which is unfortunate because her voice is incredible, and then her mixed with Dee, I'm like, this is really good. Maybe this is going to a much further extent because the song I'm about to bring up was a huge song, but it reminds me of like Ozzy and Lita Ford.
Okay, yeah.
Back in the day, in the 80s, like it reminds me of that. Like you have. Just two very prominent figures in metal now doing something like that. And then The Hardest Way, I mean, I think is good. Howard sounds good on it.
Yeah.
It's a good album, and I think it's good for Dee Snider because, Twisted Sister is huge. They were very huge. They still have some of the biggest metal anthems you could possibly listen to. Dee Snider is still a very big... He's a legendary figure in metal. I mean, not only because of Twisted Sister, but, because of what he did in the 80s representing metal when the Congress was coming after it and all sorts of stuff. Like, he's a fascinating guy to listen to. He's a smart guy, and he has a great voice. And I think this is, whether you like it or not, I just think it's a great thing for Dee Snider to almost revitalize his career in a way. Because he did put out a solo album
2016.
2016.
He put out a couple. He put out one where he did Broadway tunes. Which he has been doing some Broadway stuff, which I find interesting. Which is super interesting.
But that album that he put out in 2016 is like tried to be a mainstream rock album. I listened to part of it, I'm like, this is fucking awful, the whole thing. But here, like, this is what he needs, in my opinion. It's just riffs and get in your face sort of stuff, and it's a fun album to listen to. I think in the grand scheme of like the best albums of the year, I don't really think this is one of them, but as albums that I just really enjoy listening to, it's probably one of my favorites of the year. I don't think it would end up on my list, but it's so fun to listen to some of these songs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just give... I don't really have any other thoughts, so I guess I'll just give a score. I give it a 7.5.
Yeah.
I think it's fairly good album.
Yeah. It falls 7.5, on a good day.
Yeah.
I think if you listen to the really good songs on this album, it's an 8 out of 10.
If you listen to the first 3 songs and then the last 4 songs, it's like boom.
Correct.
There you go.
Correct. Yeah. I would say that.
Yeah.
But there's some songs on here that are just so overly corny and just kind of ridiculous that I don't know, kind of drag it down to me. But it's cool. So that's it. Let us know what you think of For the Love of Metal by Dee Snider. I also love the way this album actually ends with Dee Snider. He's just like, fucking metal, or whatever the fuck he says. I forget. It's awesome.